At long last, ladies and gentlemen, the game is up, and nearly, just nearly, we had everything figured out with the scoreboard. Of course, things are now fixed. SoulBlazer didn't receive any single point. With me is the Jack Attack. Hi mate.
How are you doing, man?
Great. It couldn't have been better. It's my first Heart of the Swarm Cup I'm casting, and I'm already seeing a lot of stuff I love. And as you said earlier, a very interesting thing that you noticed is Heart of the Swarm is evolving pretty much the same as Wings of Liberty was, since Wings of Liberty also have started with a lot of all-ins, and people were just doing one-base pushes. Okay, we have a pause. So people were doing one-base pushes, and that was okay. I remember Zealot play was very powerful, and they actually have nerfed the Zealots, so they take more time to produce because the early game pushes with 4 or 5 Zealots were just too heavy. Then were the era of the free Void Race push. Then we had the era of 7 Roach pushes. We had an era of rushing into Cloaked Banshees because no one had it figured that, you know, you can easily get get detection. people were just not able to defend against this all, and then, you know, we have been all watching GSL, and we have figured that, oh my god, these players do a really good job with it. And oh my god, did you see that he took the third base in that game? How is that possible? That must be some Korean business going on. No, it was all possible for every single one of us, just because the knowledge of the game has evolved so much. And later on, you could defend anything with anything you had in your base. And in Heart of the Swarm, I just wonder, will it be the same? What do you think?
I think that it's not going to be the same. I think just in the terms of development, it's easier to figure out the early game first, and then the mid game, and then the late game kind of a thing. But as far as later on, I'm sure that there will be many different options, a lot more options for strategy, just because of all the new things that are going on. I think we'll be able to see a lot more diversity, and the skill ceiling is going to be a lot higher. So, I've been talking to TT1 and a couple of other pro players about hotkeys a lot, because that's one of the things that I do. And pretty much all of them are saying that, yeah, Heart of the Swarm is going to need more hotkeys. You're going to have a hotkey for your Mothership core. You're going to have a hotkey for your Vipers individually and stuff like that.
Because so it just brings one more caster into your army, doesn't it? And having it on 2, for example, where people most commonly have their casters, is just not working when you have sentries and Mothership core at the same time, for example, or infestors and the Viper. You know, it just doesn't work tabbing out between these. Now let's introduce the players, something which we haven't done at the start of the match, and we should. So let's go with the pleasantries first. As the yellow Protoss spawning here in the bottom right corner, it is SoulBlazer.
And in the bottom left corner of our screen, we have the Zerg player, Zypher.
Alright, now, I just wonder, because with the addition of so many animations, that you have asked me previously about the things I love in changing Heart of the Swarm. Now, with the addition of so many animations, is there an animation where the Overlord just falls down to the ground and just kinda, you know, squats over somewhere else?
I don't know, maybe.
That would be something funny to see. Like an abandoned golf ball, you know? But we'll see. So anyway, we already have a Zealot and 2 Zerglings. That will not be enough to take out the Zealot. Also, players have been known to do some very fancy micro with standing Zealot somewhere close to a ledge, and that just doesn't give the Zerglings a surround and full cover around the Zealot. Stalker taking care of these poor little creatures with no wings yet, and it
just before the scout. Very nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and one of the other things I think is interesting here, we're seeing a 1-gate expand. I think he expanded just off of 1 Zealot and a Stalker. It looks like something out of PvT, but I think because of the of that Nexus cannon and the pressure you can put on with the Mothership core early on, I think a lot more Protoss are going to be favoring the gateway expands.
It's a lot more feasible than it used to be, because earlier on you had to have something against Zerg aggression, and you know, if I can be honest, I just hated that where PvZ just became all about making a Forge Fast Expand. And first of all, Forge Fast Expand was one of the options, but later on grew to be a strategy you kinda have to do, and there were no other possibilities to go. And right now with the Mothership Core you can do pretty much anything you like. I mean, you still need a wall off at the front, but that's okay. You can start with one gate, you can start with a very fast expand and still make it.
And it looks like he's going to go into some Stargate play now. Oracle on the way. We don't really have any sort of defenses up from our Zerg player just yet.
What SoulBlazer didn't take care of is that Overlord. He should have taken it down because it may just get too much scouting information. Now, it doesn't see any gases in the natural, which is always a big tell that the Protoss is probably not going for some very quick pushes. If you see early gases, then it means you'll be having early pushes. But then it's Heart of the Swarm, so I may just be talking rubbish, and don't pay a single bit of an attention to what I'm saying about the strategies.
Warp Gate's just finishing up now, and the Oracle is on its way to make some harassment happen.
Yeah.
War Crawlers are going to be late. Oh no.
Oh, and the Avada Kedavra curse, as I call it. Yeah, that's how the beam looks like. Avada Kedavra, and it shoots so fast. My god, Voldemort would be ashamed by this. But enough of Harry Potter references, and I think SoulBlazer was just overzealous with this Oracle, and right now loses it, unfortunately. Well, nice defense. There is a Zealot on hold here. There's also a Mothership Core, which wouldn't do that much against this huge bunch of Zerglings. Will they be morphing into Banelings? Let's see if we have a Baneling nest. No, we don't. In fact, what we have is a Spire. And by the way, what I would like to see in Zerg versus anything is just the use of the earlier burrow that the Zergs now have. Because it used to be with the layer tech, and now you can take that at the hatchery level. So what can this do potentially, and I saw I think one Korean player doing that, is you can go for a very fast burrow tech, and it doesn't cost you too much gas. Then you play your regular macro mode, and what you do is you send over a lot of Zerglings around the map and just burrow one at each of the possible expansions, and that works very well against Terrans, for example. Now we have this one Void Ray that is trying to deal some damage to the hatchery, but doesn't succeed that much. It did kill 1 or 2 drones, 2 exactly. Again, not too much.
Yeah, and I think what I like about Burrow is that it's so versatile. I mean, had Zypher had Burrow in that instance, he could just burrow everything that was there, wait for the Spore Crawler to complete, and unburrow and be totally fine. As it was, he had to lose a drone and lose some mining time. He had to pull his drones away. We do have a push coming in from the Protoss, though. We got one Void Ray leading the charge.
Yeah! Now they no longer have charge, so they feel pressed very hard to lead the charge. And we have the push from SoulBlazer, and this hatchery is going to fall. Yes, it splits into little bits and pieces, and all of the Protoss units get transported back. No, not to Ire, to its base.
That was a really great play. Didn't overcommit there. Not 100% sure if he knew the mutas were coming out, but it's going to serve him pretty well in any case.
Yeah, and mutas right now in Zerg versus Protoss so much more versatile, because they have this quick regeneration out of combat, so he can just quickly jump in. Oh my god, there are phoenixes, let's run away!
Yes, there are!
Yeah. Run, my brothers, run!
And unfortunately for those mutalisks, they have slower speed than the phoenixes, and the phoenixes can shoot while they're moving, so they're going to chase down. Oh, a little bit of missed micro there, but it looks like he's going to finish him off.
Yeah. Now, phoenixes...
Oh. So cruel.
So brutal. Now, phoenixes have additional range from compared to Wings of Liberty. They have 5 range instead of 4 that they used to have. The upgrade that you can do in the fleet beacon still gives you additional +2 range, but for now 5 range is just enough to deal with the mutalisks. And also what you need to be mindful about. We're just seeing some good battles at the middle. Some Zerglings being just burned down by the extended thermal lances. But with the Phoenixes, you can... Oh well, let's lift everything. What am I talking about? A lot of good stuff now being done. By good stuff, I mean damage, and the roaches are here now. SoulBlazer needs to be careful about how he manages his army, but lifts most of the roaches, and now Zypher is forced to take the battle or just run away. He can't afford to have half of his units up in the air and showing their underskirts. And now, oh, I'm not sure that was necessary, this whole slowdown. That was like... Oh, I really hate that one specific roach. I won't let him escape.
I mean, at this point in time, he's way ahead in the army supply, 78 to 34. So he may or may not be doing some manner spells for the Mothership Core. We'll have to see.
SoulBlazer needs to be careful. He got too much excited, I believe, and he has lost 2 of his sentries. You cannot lose sentries in an army like this. He forgot to put additional force field at the ramp to the main. This Mothership Core is probably having some suicidal thoughts, but then the Phoenixes catch the Queen, and that should be pretty much it. I don't see anything anywhere where the Zerg could go from now and try to counter what the Protoss is doing, especially that we have 2 carriers on their way, and my god, I love the ability of clicking on the interface to see what's going on.
Absolutely. I mean, it's going to take a pretty big mistake from SoulBlazer. Zypher's not completely out of this yet, but he's... At this point, I would imagine that he's thinking, oh crap, my opponent needs to make a mistake, I'm going to hang in and hopefully I can catch him off guard with something.
Yeah, so it's not that SoulBlazer is just... By the way, it's a very cool nickname. It's not that SoulBlazer can just go and kill his opponent off, because that may be a little, you know, dangerous, and he may not want to risk losing his army. But then the Zerg, as you said, has to wait for the opponent to make a mistake. Maybe he will split his roaches, maybe all the roaches will just die up front. Oh my god, such beautiful force fields, catching most of the roaches in a small, nice tablespoon, and some of them get away, but not too many, my friend.
Oh yeah, and there's the GG. SoulBlazer takes the first game, well played.
A very good game by both of the players. Now, Zerg was on the defensive side here. I believe he could have tried to go for some burrowed banelings. That's something that is underappreciated right now by the Zerg, from what I saw in other tournaments. But burrowed Zerglings are going to be a hit once Heart of the Swarm comes out of beta. The fact that you can have burrowed banelings at tier 1 is just mind-boggling, because your opponent, if he didn't go for Forge, he doesn't have any detection at all.
Oh yeah, and that was one of my favorite things about playing Zerg in Brood War, was having that burrow all the time, and I would love to use the burrow. When we got into Starcraft 2, I learned they moved to the layer tech, and I was so sad. But now it's back, so I'm very happy, and maybe I'll switch to Zerg.
Alright. What am I doing right now? Am I joining some map?
It looks like you're joining it on
no.
Wastes map.
Quit. Could you talk with the players, please, and let them invite us again? Where do I check my profile history? That's a good question.
You go to the bottom left, click on your portrait.
Ah, yeah. Okay, let's talk with the good chaps that we were casting. Dum 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 dum. Dum 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 dum. Okay guys, a short commercial break. We'll be back with you in 2 or 3 minutes, so don't go anywhere. You're watching the Egalisk Master Cup in Heart of the Swarm. And the second game is up, ladies and gentlemen, and here in the bottom left corner of our dear known map, which is the Daybreak, we have the Zerg player PWF Zypher. And also, on the other end of the map, we have...
SoulBlazer.
Yeah.
Blazing the trails of souls for Protosses all around the world.
We need to come up with some fancy introduction business, you know.
Absolutely.
I don't think that our introductions are up to par right now. Is up to par the correct way of saying it?
Absolutely. That was perfect use of the phrase.
Awesome. So for such awesome games, we should have much more awesome introductions. So
definitely, we'll have to brainstorm before next tournament and figure out exactly what we're gonna do for all the names. We'll come up with catchy things for everything. It'll be good.
Is Zypher going to blow this tournament away? Not sure if that's an English word, but Zypher is also a sort of a wind. From what I know.
Zypher
Zypher
in English, so I think it's very similar.
Yeah. All right. That kind of must be funny for you to watch a non-native speaker trying to invent word plays.
Well, you do a very good job of it, so
oh,
I definitely you're doing fine with that. So I don't actually notice most of the time. It's just English with a Polish accent. That's awesome. It's just English. That is more awesome.
You will make me blush in a second, my friend. So let's stop right here. Now, let's sum up what we have so far. Blazer going with one base opening. He didn't even make a wall off, which I'm not sure will be that standard later on. Not having a wall off in your main against a Zerg is rather dangerous, especially that he didn't go for a very quick Zealot. He's just going for a fast expansion, and he didn't even scout yet, so he doesn't know. You know, the opponent could have gone for a 10 pull. He could have gone for a 6 pull even. By this time, the 6 pull of course would have hit, but
right.
But then
I'm really surprised. That was a gasless 1-gate expand from Protoss. I want to know if you can get away with this in PvZ. I'm definitely gonna try it a little bit when I get on the ladder.
Yeah. It seems kind of risky.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's risky for sure. He's got perfect saturation in his main base though, and it looks like he's taking a break on pro production.
Well, I don't know. I really don't know. A very late wall off, which is fine because you need a wall off. You either have to make one at the natural, or you know, in case of 1-gate core expansions with the mothership core on, you can afford not having a wall off at the natural for a long while, because with the giant cannon that your Nexus can become, you are just able to defend pretty much anything that gets thrown at you. So, you know, at the early game at least. So you're safe until the 10-12 minute mark against the Zerg. But besides that, not having a wall off at the start, I'm not sure, was this intentional, or was this some elaborate plan to trick the opponent into thinking that, oh, I'm going proxy or whatever.
It might also just be I'm 1 game ahead of you, I'm gonna take a risk and maybe it'll pay off. Similar to the way a lot of people on game 2, if they're game ahead, they'll go for a cheese. This is sort of a very risky macro play, and if it works out like it has here, or he hasn't gotten attacked, he's gonna do very well with his economy, and he'll be able to take an advantage that way.
What I am missing in StarCraft right now, and I hope Heart of the Swarm will fix it, is that kind of perception that, okay, I'm going for a macro build, but this is going to be hell of a risky play for me. So that's, I think, one of the basic designs behind StarCraft 2 Brood War and originally StarCraft 2 Wings of Liberty, but it just didn't work out as well. Wow, did you see that new awesome animation that Creep Tumor has when it spawns the other one? There's some spiny thing that pops out of the ground shortly before the new Creep Tumor appears. That's just awesome. But then, back to my original point. We have we have a small push making their way across the map. A lot of zealots from free gates, even without the gateway. Yeah, the gateway research is now done. So this is going to be a free gate zealot push from 2 bases. Well, it may take down the 4th base. We'll see about that. The addition of Mothership Core is sure going to be helpful against roaches because they won't be able to kite zealots on the creep. And we'll see how this goes. No +1 upgrades, so the zealots are not so fancy, but still.
An incredibly aggressive pylon in between the 2 bases, in between the natural and the 3rd. Only Zerglings here so far, so the zealots are going to be doing pretty well, especially with the Mothership Core for support. Oh, and he surrounded the Queen!
Wow!
Oh, nice pickup. That's going to be a lot of damage to the economy of Zypher here.
And also, SoulBlazer did a very smart thing because he stayed away from the spine crawlers and wow, now he just focuses on the hatchery and he wants to take down the natural because then he'll be able to deal later on with the 3rd base, and that will push the Zerg so far behind in terms of economy. And the roaches now, will we have a slowdown? No, we don't.
No, looks for the recall, looking for the recall. I'm not seeing it. A little bit on the late side. He could have saved a lot more of those zealots. I thought he was going to do the same thing he did last game, where he killed the hatchery and just recalled immediately. I felt like that would be a...
Imagine this from the viewpoint of that probe in the gas geyser. It just came out of a very hard day of work at the assimilator, and then right after, 5 seconds later, a very wounded zealot without 1 leg and both arms missing appears in front of you, and oh my god, you know, you must have gone through hell. Well, you should have seen the other guys. So
while we're waiting for this next little roach squadron to maybe do a little bit of scouting, it's actually unfortunate that new creep tumor animation actually makes it so that the creep tumor does not appear instantly.
Why do you think that?
Because of that, it makes it impossible to spread creep efficiently with hotkeys, as some players like TLO were beginning to do in Wings of Liberty. But now, because of that new animation, they're going to have to stick to clicking on the minimap and using maybe camera keys. A couple of players started using camera location keys to spread the creep as well.
That's a very interesting point. That's true, because creep tumor used to appear right away and you could just control click the current one and the new one would select. Now you have to wait around a second. Maybe they will just speed up the animation, I don't know, but it's a very good point. Thank you for sharing that.
Well, that's what I'm here for.
Thank you, my master Yoda.
Look at this Mothership Core. He's being so aggressive with it. I think that's one of the cool things about the Mothership Core in general, is it allows the Protoss to be really aggressive out on the map and have that, well, I'm just going to recall anytime I'm in trouble and be totally fine. He's just using it for scouting, which is something I haven't seen before.
Yeah, against the Zerg, it's kind of dangerous because if you let your eyes off the Mothership Core, the Zerg may try to catch it with a couple of queens. 1 or 2 queens would suffice. You just need to get them below the Mothership Core and then start shooting, because you won't get a notification that it's being attacked until the queens are already too close. Now, alright, we have an attack coming right up. A lot of force fields, and oh yes! They land exactly as they were supposed to. Not sure I agree with those slows, but still happy to see them anyway. We have 2 Immortals and a lot of roaches to deal with, so the Immortals will be perfect. Now, SoulBlazer just needs to be careful about his focus fire. That's the main thing he has to do in this battle. And will we see another set of good force fields? Yes, we do. And this one single roach blocking the line for all of his friends. And now the positioning of SoulBlazer is just so good.
And this is one of the parts of Daybreak that has always happened. It's really strong with the Centric Immortal push and things like that. It's just because once you get in here against the Zerg, it's very difficult for the Zerg to fight as long as you have enough force fields.
Yes.
And SoulBlazer does have enough force fields. So
we have some Hydras in the background, but with his natural loss, he cannot afford so many units as he could have normally. And the third will be going down exactly as we said earlier. Now, while retreating, it's more dangerous, and he may lose all the sentries. Oh my god, he's trying to save them, and yes, he manages to do so. And yeah, he's going to keep pushing.
It looks like he's not satisfied with the 30. He's going to keep pushing.
I'm still hungry.
We've got the Warp Prism support now for Warp-ins.
Yeah, and the pylon very nearby. That's awesome. A very good push, and SoulBlazer looking like a very strong player. I'm not ready yet to say it's going to be the favorite for today, but oh, these force fields didn't help the Zealons at all, and the Zealons are teleported back to Iron now. Even drones are being pulled back to help defenders push, and will SoulBlazer make it? No, he has to retreat. The force of the Hydras plus Roaches is just too strong. Some focus fire with the Immortal at the last minute, but will it be enough? Oh my god, now Hydras without any support are just too weak. They don't have any hit points left at them, and they are just getting ripped apart by SoulBlazer.
Oh, and he almost pulled it out too. Those army supplies were even for a while, but didn't manage to pull it out. GG. Well done for SoulBlazer. He moves on in the tournament. Have to say goodbye to Zypher.
Yeah, so SoulBlazer moves up in the bracket. We'll back again. We will be back with another game soon, guys. For now, let's all enjoy a short and very new. How you say that? I'm not so sure. Let's just enjoy a commercial break. I'll be back with you in 5 minutes.